I took a break to get ready for my colonoscopy. It happened yesterday. I'm recording this Saturday. I will probably release it like Sunday or Monday. But yeah, that happened. So I told you guys that the prep was gonna suck, and it did. It was so bad. What were you thinking? Like, it's 128 ounces?
Yes.
Yeah, I think like after some like rough calculations, it's 128 ounces of like laxative water. We found out that even though it's like a prescription, that it's literally Miralax. So that's like a very typical laxative if you don't know. But we just did mine with straight water, and it sucked and tasted weird, and the texture was horrible, and I hated everything. And I started at 4:20 and ended at 10:30. So it took me over 6 hours to drink the whole thing. I had like a mental breakdown at one point where I was like, I really don't think I can do the rest of this. I think it's going to be bad.
But you were already halfway through.
Yeah.
And you'd already, handled half of the crap, so to say. And I also know from going through it with a different type of prep, you certainly don't want to be told, hey, you're not cleaned out enough.
Yeah.
And have to redo any of it. Nor do you want to reschedule and have to start from zero.
Yeah, and like I'm literally like sobbing in the kitchen, and I'm like, I literally don't think I can drink anymore. Like my swallow mechanism is not working. And she's like, well, do you want me to call them and say that you won't be able to do it tomorrow? And I'm like, no, but I don't think I can. Like,
it was a tough love moment.
Yeah, it was shitty. And then I had like 30, I had like 72 ounces left, and I was like, okay, you guys can like go to bed. I'm gonna go upstairs, do the rest of this. I literally was sitting in my bathroom with my 2 fucking hydro flasks full of nasty laxative water and some ginger ale in a Sonic cup because my dad got me an ocean water, and I was watching My Little Pony on my laptop in my fucking bathroom, trying to just like drink water. It was bad, real bad.
It's rough.
Yeah, and then it was over by 10:30, and I was like, wow, everything's great. I had to go downstairs and steal all of the Mio in the house because I literally wasn't going to be able to drink it otherwise. So but yeah, so then yesterday colonoscopy happened. I had kind of like a rough time to do mine, as she stated.
Rough time meaning like you have a show time, and then usually schedules do change whenever it's a procedure like this. So we were told to be there at 12 with a 12:30 time for her procedure, and I think she got pushed back to closer to 1, and then I think we were pushed back even closer to like 1:30.
Yeah, we got there like 12.
Yeah, just before 12.
And then the lady was like super nice at the front desk and everything, like very funny, and like I have anxiety, obviously. Where do I get it from? But so like literally everyone in the whole entire process, I was like, I have anxiety, by the way. I'm just like nervous. If I ask a lot of questions, I'm sorry. And they were like, nah, you're good.
Yeah, the nurses were awesome.
Yeah.
They understood. She asked a lot of questions, and they were really good about answering all of them.
I'd say the only person we're not the biggest fan of is my GI specialist, but we may be switching that soon. So, yeah.
Mine is better. Mine doesn't have a pleasant bedside manner, but he is very, very good with his...
It's not rude.
Yeah, he's very informative, and he's just a little dry.
Yeah, I don't want to blast names or anything. I won't.
Nope.
But we were asking after the colonoscopy, like, oh, can she go back on her meloxicam? Because it said you can't go on arthritis medication if you had a polyp removed. And we weren't like 100% sure whether that was considered an arthritis medicine or not. And then she's talking to him, because I'm like not fully there yet, because I'm still coming out of twilight, a specific anesthesia. It's not just anesthesia, guys, it's twilight. It's different, which is what everyone told me the whole time. And my mom's like, yeah, because it's an NSAID. He's like, I know that. she can go back on it. It's fine. I'm like,
well, but
okay.
he also hesitated, like he was kind of debating, can she go back on it? So again, I'm not questioning his medical decision.
Yeah, like he knows what he's doing. It's just like,
I just wanted to confirm the second or third page of this packet says she can resume all medications.
Yeah.
And it has her entire list of medications that we've entered based on what she takes, including vitamins, supplements, etc. And then like 2 pages after that, it says if you had a polyp removed, do not take, and it has a list of things, and one of them is arthritic medication. Well, again, meloxicam is considered that. It's also an NSAID, and I know that can cause some, additional bruising, etc. So I just wanted to be sure, as her mom.
Yeah.
She's not 100% with it yet. I just want to be sure that we can resume this.
Because, like, that's the type of question I would normally ask, but I'm, like, looking through the packet, and I'm not fully there yet, and I'm still like, did I come out of the anesthesia okay?
Am I here?
I'm feeling pretty mentally here, guys. I'm feeling pretty here.
And she wasn't.
And they gave me juice afterwards, and when we were leaving, because they have to put you in a wheelchair to, like, wheel you out to the car, because some people are, like, really unstable afterwards.
Still asleep.
Hopefully my camera doesn't fall over because I'm going to stop. It's not falling over. Okay, we're good. This is a lot more stable of a camera than my old Handycam.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks. Don't buy me anything ever again. What was I saying?
About the juice.
Oh, yeah, and so they're like, oh, do you want the rest of your juice to leave? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not really, like, a fan of apple juice. And she was like, this is actually fruit punch. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not a fan of fruit punch either.
She had nothing extravagant, but she had a few haha moments.
Yeah. But I guess just to kind of give a playthrough, I was thinking about recording, and I decided not to because this was my first colonoscopy, and now that I've had a polyp removed, I will have multiple more colonoscopies.
Yeah, we will find out for sure what the plan is. For my history, I've had polyps removed each time I've had a colonoscopy.
And can we get an explanation for what a polyp is for people that don't know?
It's just a growth.
Yeah.
It's just a small growth, but unfortunately, within the colon, it can be an indicator that if you leave it, it can be an indicator if you leave it, it could turn cancerous. I don't want everyone to think that just because you have a polyp, you are prone to colon cancer.
Yeah.
But just for precaution, anytime they find a polyp, it's a simple removal. You don't feel anything with it afterwards, so they figure they may as well go ahead and remove it and eliminate that particular chance of that area. And I want to be really careful how I say it, of that area turning into colon cancer.
Yeah, because we have a history in my family of colon cancer. I don't know how much you want to say about your own family history.
My grandfather, and then my own father has had significant GI issues, diverticulitis a few times, as well as a resection. And
a resection is when
they remove a piece of the intestines, a piece of the colon.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because it's become so weakened from the diverticulitis. And that's a judgment call with your own particular provider. I am not here to provide medical advice of when and if you need to have a resection. Again, that's between you and your GI provider.
This is just so you guys understand like the terms that I'm talking about, because I know that a lot of you guys probably don't, especially since a lot of this channel is based on me and either anxiety or whatever autoimmune disorder I have, and this is kind of a weird wild card to pull out all of a sudden. I didn't think that this was going to happen, so but as soon as I had like bleeding, they were like, specialist, you have family history, so
and again, that's just a note. I mean, if you have something abnormal going on with your body, talk with your primary care. She brought it up to me, and again, with our family history, I definitely wanted her to bring it up to her primary care. But again, if this happened to be colon cancer, this early on, obviously that's a little unusual, but colon cancer is one of the most treatable cancers, and you want to catch it early. So this is just another way for her to be proactive for her own health.
By the way, my mom is a senior medical coding manager. I don't know particularly like all the education that you've received. I know that you have like a certificate of some kind.
Yeah. So,
But this is why she knows all these things. Like, she's not just talking out of her ass. She does like know some stuff. She's like just not like your doctor.
yeah, I'm not providing you with anyone with any medical.
This is just explanations.
You know, but it's also not only from what I do for a living, but also, you know, dealing with it with my own health. You know, I have had several bouts of diverticulitis, again, thanks to my, you know, family history and genes. That, you know, I'm, you know, overly aware of, you know, colon health and just really, when she mentioned, you know, one spot of blood, okay, that's fine. But when it became a regular thing and she was telling me how often she was seeing it, you know, that's something you definitely want to mention to your provider. And, you know, a huge prop to Lauren, because, you know, it can be, I think for someone 17, it can be kind of a tough subject to want to talk about anything what you consider, you know, private. And, you know, I'm very, very fortunate that we've always had an open relationship where she feels comfortable coming to me, but also that I know, hey, this is something well beyond even, you know, like my level of education or just level of knowledge, and let's get, you know, your provider involved so that, you know, we can make a good decision, all of us, based on your health. So,
you know, you use your on the phone voice when you record with me.
Oh, so you guys get my on the phone voice. You don't get my mean voice.
No, she's on calls like a lot, and you can tell like the switch. And like whenever you get like serious about something in a video, you switch to the on the phone voice.
I switched to the professional voice.
But the really nice thing about having a mother who knows stuff about the healthcare industry, when we were trying to get over to my pediatric rheumatologist, there were a lot of issues scheduling that. And like we had a conversation, or she had a conversation with a lady on the phone, like basically like talking about stuff that like if you weren't a medical, like if you weren't involved in the medical field, like you wouldn't know what she was talking about. And like I was like listening to the conversation. I was in the kitchen. I think I was like getting food or something. I don't remember. But like I just realized like how many times like people that don't have parents involved in a medical field have probably had those conversations with, you know, medical professionals and not known what was going on, and that's really confusing.
Well, the insurance world is really hard to navigate, and you really do have to advocate for yourself and your family. And, you know, I'm sure Lauren doesn't remember, or that I've talked about this, even prior to working in this particular career field, I did work with TRICARE from an authorization standpoint. So, you know, I guess I have a little more intimate knowledge of just even how our own insurance works, but then how HMOs in general work. And again, healthcare is just, it's a tricky path to navigate.
And it shouldn't have to be that hard.
Most definitely should not have to be. You shouldn't have to have my knowledge to navigate it.
Exactly.
Just to advocate for someone's, your loved one's healthcare.
And then we even had insurance issues like after my trip to the rheumatologist, where they were like, oh, your insurance is talking about like not covering this, and like they were like talking like all these terms that like not a normal person would know, and you were like, well, I know that it's not this because this,
it's
like
not place of service, because we didn't. So with TRICARE, you have a place of service deductible, which means I'm choosing to go to this provider with or without my primary care's
and we didn't choose because we had a referral.
Right. So, and we're still, I don't want to say fighting this, but it's still in the works, because again, you know, this was a recommendation based on her local rheumatologist to have an additional referral, to have a consult, you know, and that's not uncommon in the medical world. So, you know, I'm sure the providers will get their reimbursement as, you know, they are entitled to. But I will continue to, I don't want to say fight, that seems like such a bad word, but I will continue to advocate for Lauren and make sure that, you know, it's covered in the appropriate manner.
Yeah, because I mean, even the lady on the phone was like, yeah, you're right, it's not place of service, like you.
And I do always, you know, I'm not above educating those you know, that I do talk to. I mean, you know, HIPAA is a huge phrase that's thrown around, but you'd be surprised how many times you go to an office and you're signing a HIPAA acknowledgement and it's spelled wrong. HIPAA is spelled wrong, and you're signing this medical document stating you understand what HIPAA is, and so
because it's not HIPPA,
right? It's not like a HIPAA.
Yeah,
it's HIPAA, and that's just your healthcare, your information protected, and I'm not afraid to tell somebody at the front desk that, hey, this is spelled wrong, or if it's posted, this is spelled wrong, and it's just for information. All right, I think we kind of went off on a tangent there.
I just wanted to say I'm not like trying to laugh at HIPAA. We have like an inside joke in my house where like anytime that something medical comes up, I'm like, Mom, is this HIPAA? Am I committing HIPAA? Have I done HIPAA?
and for those that know, no, you cannot commit HIPAA.
You don't commit HIPAA.
It can be a violation of HIPAA.
Yeah.
But no, with what I do, she is not privileged to anything that would be a violation of HIPAA.
Yeah. So, the whole colonoscopy thing, I got put back into a prep room. You have to undress, put
a gown on.
Yeah, a gown. Mine was open to the back, obviously, because it was a colonoscopy. And so they had a blood pressure cuff on. They had the EKG. They have like 3 little sticky things that they put on your chest. And what is that to measure again? Is that your heart rate? Or okay?
It's your EKG, and you're just doing a basic monitoring of the heart, making sure that everything's good, not having a heart attack.
Yeah. And then I had an IV in my right arm.
She had a pulse ox on her finger.
Oh, right. Yes, and that's for your O2 level. So yeah, I sat in there for like probably like a good 30 minutes. My anesthesiologist came by and was like, hey, you have to like sign this thing, and it was a lot of people just being like, can you sign this?
And they did a really great job of kind of, not in detail, but explaining what I was signing. Again, if anybody has questions about where she was seen, I'd be happy to share it offline, but just don't want to put it on here. But it was a really great location.
I had my tonsillectomy here quite a couple years back, and my dad had a procedure there. We've never had anything bad to say about the place. So
it's a great place in this area.
So then we went to another room because they were like, oh, you're about to go on, but
not quite ready, but
someone's like
room.
Still here, and we need to fill your space, so now you're gonna go to this recovery room. They didn't specify this recovery room, we just kind of figured it out.
Knowing what we do.
Yeah. And then it was like another 30 minutes in there.
Yeah. It was a little delayed, but again, we understand that maybe somebody's procedure, I get it, maybe somebody's procedure took a little bit longer than what it should, and I would rather know that this entire office, this entire surgical staff is doing whatever they need for that person, because then I know that will be translated to her as well.
Yeah. Okay, we're back from a very funny scenario because you were getting your food and I was trying to get my food, and I went up to the drive-thru. Well, we went up to the drive-thru, not just me. And the lady was like, we can't make your coffee. We don't have any hash browns, and we're out of bagels. So we're going to the other Dunkin'.
Maybe not a great day at that Dunkin' today.
Yeah, I'm sorry for them. Anyway, we were at the point where we're in the second room now. So we waited about 30 minutes in there. We had a lady come in. Was she another nurse? I never know the specific titles of people. I always just say that person. So she set up my oxygen for me and everything, which wasn't like for any specific, like everyone gets oxygen. It smells kind of weird, like not in like a bleh way, but like, it just smells weird. It's also cold.
Straight oxygen.
By the way, your IV can also be cold. It kind of made my entire right arm just cold. But yeah, so at some point they're like, all right, you guys can head back to the lobby now. We're gonna take her in, and went into the room, and everyone on my staff, pretty much, like all my nurses, were all named some form of Susie. It was very funny. Except for my anesthesiologist. I don't remember her name, but her name was not Susie. So they had me up on my side so they could do the colonoscopy. And I asked her, because at your place they have you count to 10 when you go on your anesthesia.
Backwards from 10.
Yeah. Either way, they just have you count. And so I asked her, I was like, oh, are you going to have me count? And she was like, no, I actually don't like doing the counting. It actually makes a lot of people anxious because they can't finish the counting. And I was like, oh, okay. And she actually asked me if I wanted an anxiety med, and I was like, oh, I'm already on anxiety meds, actually. I took mine this morning with, like, a sip of water because they allowed me to. We had a whole talk about, like, my pre-op, and, you know, it was basically like,
What you can
this
and
is
cannot
the
do.
reason that I function on a daily basis. Can I take this? And they were like, oh, yeah, sure. So, yeah. Basically, her strategy, instead of the counting thing, is she asks people, like, you could go anywhere in the world. Where would you go? And I was like, I'd go to Atlanta. Even though I've already been there, like, 3 times. It's my favorite place ever. I'm wearing my SCAD shirt today. But it's, like, all I really remember telling her. And then I was out. And then I was awake again. And then I'm in another room to recover. And we're sitting there, and I keep asking, did I come out of the anesthesia okay? Got some juice. Reviewed some paperwork, and I got in a wheelchair, and I went home.
You want to discuss what was found?
Oh, yes, I was going to get to that point. That we're going to say that was pretty much the whole process, right?
Yes.
The
The worst part of a colonoscopy is the prep.
Yeah, it was so bad.
The liquid diet leading up to is not bad.
Yeah, I can eat a couple popsicles and be chill. Like, I can be fine.
But I'm not going to lie to anybody. It is the prep. But for a screening colonoscopy, again, if it's caught early, colon cancer is one of the most taken care of. I don't want to say cured, but and it is one of the highly preventative cancers. So yes, the prep sucks, but
either
it is
way,
important.
I was very grateful that I even had the chance to have a colonoscopy. Some people don't have the money for copay. Some people don't have a person to come, like, pick them up. Some people don't have access to health care. Some people are, like, homeless and don't have a place to go to for their prep or anything like that. Like, there are many scenarios in which you can't get that kind of preventative treatment done, and, you know, I should at least be thankful that I was, able to do it in the first place. So I did mention that they found a polyp. And at your place, at least, once they find a polyp, it's every 3 years
Correct.
you have a colonoscopy.
Correct.
That changes depending on, the doctor. Obviously, everyone kind of has a different standard.
Right.
But
There's-
you'd say that's pretty, like...
There's standards across GI, but every doctor might have their own individual preference. But for mine, it is every 3 years. We have a follow-up with her particular GI middle of August,
Yeah.
and we'll find out more what his protocol is following polyp removal.
Because my paper said next one at 50, and we were both like...
Well, with her family history, the next one is not going to be.
It will not be 50. No, thank you. They also found a hemorrhoid. They found multiple dead hemorrhoids, which basically means that there's no more blood flow going to it. It's not actively bleeding or anything like that. So there's no reason to do anything about it. You can cauterize them. Is there a reason you would want to do that?
Unless it's causing, a problem, generally not.
Okay. But they did find one live and well one.
With an active blood supply.
Yeah, so that's most likely where my bleeding was coming from. But I am happy that we did that because they did find a polyp.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I will have more polyps in the future, but, again, once they find one, it's pretty much like, hey, we're going to do this routinely to make sure you don't have any more.
Right.
Because it's pretty much like, most people say the time frame is about, like, 3 years, where it's, like, not going to be dangerous for you, but it's still within the time frame to remove it, and one would pop up again.
Right.
If that makes any sense. But for hemorrhoids, basically, instead of, like, cutting it off or anything, because with polyps, they just kind of straight up remove them, right?
They can kind of cauterize it.
Yeah. For hemorrhoids, they put a tiny little band around it and just let it cut the blood flow off and die and come out. So I've seen multiple varying things where it takes a couple days. Some people say it takes like 2 to 4 weeks. Like I've seen many people say different things about how long it takes the hemorrhoid to come off.
You want to talk about the pressure?
Yeah. I will say, because mine was closer to the rectum.
Anus.
I never know the terms. I don't know why. I'm real bad about GI terms and where they are.
When you have GI problems, such as myself, you kind of learn.
Yeah, my hemorrhoid was closer to the anus, and so that has caused some annoying pressure. And I woke up from anesthesia and was like, I need to go to the bathroom. And my nurses were like, no, you don't. There's nothing in your system to really need to go to the bathroom. It's just pressure from the hemorrhoid banding. And I was like, oh.
I've been really, really fortunate. Well, and too much information. I have external hemorrhoids. I don't have any internal that have needed to be banded. So this was news to me. And always willing to learn something new. But it does make sense if you think about it. They've added a little band there, and that now there's a little pressure, and with trying to close off that hemorrhoid. And your body is still waking up from that anesthesia. It's still trying to connect the brain to different body functions, and it's going, hey, wait, I feel pressure, and maybe I have to go to the bathroom.
I wasn't successfully able to pee for like hours afterward.
And again, that's not uncommon. She didn't have a catheter or anything, but
your brain just isn't like connected to like everything again because of the anesthesia. So like my brain and my bladder weren't communicating properly. So my body was like, you do need to pee, but my brain couldn't like do the switch to pee. That's similar to like drug addicts and stuff like that, where like they're on certain drugs and they like can't pee. Hence why many drug addicts die in the bathroom.
Another thing with, even we talked about, it was twilight, so it's really just a simple anesthetic,
and it's like a deep REM sleep.
You sign a document stating that you won't drive for 24 hours, which obviously she's not driving today. You also indicate that you won't operate heavy machinery, and you won't make any big decisions for 24 hours. Your body your brain is not fully firing, fully comprehending everything that's going on. So while she looks totally here, and I would say she is, it's still just a safety precaution.
Yeah, you never know how long it lasts for some people. We did also have a biopsy taken. I don't think we discussed that with him prior. I think that was just kind of like done.
Yeah, anytime they go in for a surgery or a procedure, you're putting yourself in the hands of your provider, that if they find something there that looks abnormal, or they feel they need a biopsy of for your own well-being, they will do that. So in this scenario, they found a microscopic colitis area, which is inflammation of the colon. Went ahead and took a biopsy.
And a biopsy is just taking a piece of the body.
Of the area, it's a little sample. Sometimes,
so they can like test it.
Yeah. So sometimes they'll do like a little scraping, and say they just like took a little snip. Again, it's kind of like the polyp. She's not going to notice that. And then they'll send that off to pathology, and a pathologist, another type of physician, will view it, and they might do thin slices. They might do some different prep to that biopsy, and even the polyp, and see if there's any concern for any other GI diseases, or anything maybe that she needs a diagnosis or medication for.
So other than that, I did mention how a lot of people kind of like aren't great balance wise, but also a lot of people usually take a nap afterwards. I don't nap in general anyways. I didn't nap afterwards, and by the time I got out of the car, I was fine to walk. It was like 30 minutes to get home?
Yeah, it's a good, by the time she stopped, she did want her typical Jimmy John's following, and by the time we stopped, it was probably 45 minutes to get home. She did great standing up out of the wheelchair and turning to get into the car. With that being said, everybody's different. Every procedure is different. The next time, even under twilight, she might not be as successful. But I think she did a good job. And then you sat downstairs for a little bit and ate. Later, she went up. You said you had a little bit of balance going up the stairs.
Yeah, there was I almost fell on one step, but that's also very normal for me.
Yeah.
I don't have great balance anyways. But my body was also very aware that I was losing balance. The whole shoot through all your nerves thing happened, so I wasn't worried about it. But that's pretty much it. I'll have some more bleeding for a couple days or so.
We've got all of the precautions of how much is okay, and if she needs to be seen, that type of thing. So
But other than that, that's pretty much it. First colonoscopy done. I was actually in Julian's Twitch chat last night, and I shared my like resub message, and I was like, just had my first colonoscopy today at like way too young, and someone else responded to me, and they were like, yeah, I have Crohn's, and I've had to have them since 13, and that sucks, so I hope you're doing alright. And I was like, well damn, I'm still trying to figure out what autoimmune disorder I have, so maybe we'll be Crohn's buddies. So, we have no idea at this point. Who knows? But either way, maybe this will lead to some more information, but still worth it all around because, you know, better off safe than sorry.
Rather know than not know.
Yeah.
Most things with healthcare, I'm not going to say there's a cure, but there are treatments. There's, you know, a plan, and, you know, I'm, you know, not a great one to say that, you know, I've always been the best for my own healthcare. But I have made some changes over the last several years to really, you know what's going on with my body so that I can make the best decision, again, partnering with my primary care and my providers. But, you know, I think that's one thing. If I can say, don't be afraid to find out, you know, the more you know, what is it, knowledge is power. The more you know about what is going on with your body, the better you can take care of your body and the opportunities. I mean, it's silly little things, but you might find that, I need to be on this medication versus that one because, it's doing this to this area of my body. So there, a lot of different situations, but a lot of people think, well, if I don't know, then I don't have to face the trouble. And okay, but I was that person, and Lauren kind of battered me into you got to take care of you, and she is a great role model of taking care of you, and not being afraid. She's really encouraged me to to get those tests, to get that blood work, and not be afraid of the results. We can work with the results and learn from it, and be as healthy as we possibly can.
So, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say on the matter, but there will be some update after my follow-up, which obviously is in like 2 or so weeks, like 2.5, so it'll be a while, but hope you enjoyed our little medical discussion, and I'll see you with something hopefully more fun next time.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.